Hi, this is Kim with Mom's Creative Moments. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are working in my Ireland scrapbook again, and we're still at Blarney Castle, but some people have gotten in trouble. Seriously. Well, maybe not so seriously. So I don't know a lot about medieval things. I only know what I've learned from reading and visiting places that were around in medieval times. But one thing that I think is pretty consistent for most movies and history books and things like that is if you get in trouble and they want to make an example of you, they put you in these bindings that set you out in the middle of the community, and people can ridicule you and throw things at you, and you can't go anywhere or do anything. You're stuck. And I remember them being called the stocks. And as you visit Blarney Castle, you'll see that they have a replica of what one of those might look like, and it's provided there for you to use as a photo opportunity. So we, of course, took full advantage of that. So today's layout is meant to replicate that and just poke some fun at the fun that we were having, pretending that we all got in trouble. Well, maybe not all of us. You'll notice there's no picture of me. Anyways, let's check out my workspace and we'll get started. All right, here's my workspace for today. And you're probably wondering why there's so much brown or gray brown. Well, today we are doing some pictures of my family from Blarney Castle, but it seemed like everybody except for just a couple of us ended up taking their picture with this. Now, if you're not sure what that is, that's when you got sent to the stocks because you were in trouble or they were trying to make a point that you'd done something wrong, they would lock you into this contraption where you were usually standing. I don't think you were usually sitting, and your head was stuck here and your hands were stuck here, and it was so tight around that you couldn't get out. And people would throw things at you and harass you and generally make your life miserable because you did something that wasn't right or did something that offended the people in charge or whatever. So anyway, these are the photos that I'm going to scrap today. So we're going to have some fun and create something like this. So at least that's what I'm hoping we're going to do. The first thing I'm going to do is, well, first let's just talk about what I have here. So these pieces of wood paper, which actually match, this is the front and back, and these two laser cut strips are from the Wonderful Day collection that came out recently. And the wood papers, not the designer papers, but the wood papers. This is a piece of Hot Fudge Cardstock. And these cute little smidgies or dilly bobs over here are from Simple Stories. If you're not familiar with Simple Stories, they are a scrapbooking company that is based here in Ogden near where I live. And they had, I went to a warehouse sale that they had recently just to check them out because I didn't really know anything about them, and they had some interesting packs of things, and this was part of that. They came in a little pack like this with 143 pieces, and actually this came with a bunch of other stuff. So in order to get this, you had to buy a bunch of other stuff, which isn't necessarily bad. It wasn't terribly expensive, but just in the interest of full disclosure. But I think they're going to be cute and suit my purposes for today, so I pulled a bunch of them out so that they would be handy. I'm going to use my CM circle cutter to cut a couple of circles to get us started here. So here's my CM circle cutter. And I'm going to cut one circle that is going to be 7 inches in diameter. So I'm going to set this line here to the line on the bubble to the 7-inch mark. Now I've got the blade, sorry, the blade is over here on the left underneath this little bobble right here. This is the pivot point here in the middle if you've never used the circle cutter before. This white part here, you twist it counterclockwise and then you can slide this pivot point to wherever you want to, from as close as 3 inches to as wide as 11 and 8/10. Almost 12 inches, almost a full 12 inches. But for our purposes today, we're just going to cut one that is at 7 inches, and I think that will be sufficient for our needs. Okay, so I've got my straight blade in there. I keep thinking that one of these days they might end up adding another blade for this, just to jazz it up and make it even more fun for us to play with, but I don't know. All right, and I have marked on the side of mine approximately where the blade is, where the blade sits. So I just have a little mark right there. And that helps me not waste paper, because I just don't like to waste paper, even though paper is not a huge thing, you know, but it just bugs me. So I'm going to push down here in the center. That's going to anchor that pivot point, and then I'm going to squeeze this white button in and push down on that smaller blue button, and it's going to cut. So I'm going to go all the way around, and I always like to shift the outside paper just to make sure I didn't miss something or lift up on the pressure somehow and then end up with something that's way too or not cut all the way. Okay, so now I'm going to reduce this down, and I'm going to reduce it down to a 5. And I think we should be okay. We actually might need to make it a little smaller in order for me to get 2 more out of this paper. And this is going to be a little bit tight. I don't think it's going to work. Yeah. So we could just make this a little bit smaller. Let's make this a 4.5 and see what we get. See if that is more doable. Ooh, actually that's really close. So I'm just going to adjust that down. Ooh, that's not working up there. All right, that works. Okay. All right, I think that'll work. Let's try it. All right, there we go. So we've got our hand holes and our head hole. If you haven't gotten one of these yet, let me just tell you, it is so fun and so handy, and I have just really been enjoying using it. So if you don't have one yet, I highly recommend it. At any rate, all right. So let's go ahead and work on the base here. I'm going to move these photos out of the way just for a smidge of a minute. Stick them up there. I'm going to move these to the side as well. And I toyed with several different ideas of how to go about shaping this wood a little bit more. I think we decided to just go with this side because it works with the tones in this just a little bit better. And these will be seen a little bit easier. All right, so what I would really like to do is have a shape that kind of is has a higher portion in the center and kind of goes out with shoulders on the sides. That's what I would really like to do. And I'm thinking what I'm going to do is just tear the paper. But I want to be able to open it up and have the high point in the middle. So I'm going to turn that around so that my wood is dark on the outside. I'm going to move this in like this. Did you see how I did that? So I'm going to fold it in. This is going to be the center of my layout. So I'm going to fold it like this, or stack it like that. Okay, so this is the center edge. I'm going to rough hand tear this. So I'm not sure if this is going to work. I have not really ever done this before, but I'm going to go ahead and grab an oval from the custom cutting system, and I'm just going to tear against it. I'm just going to use it as my something to keep me from getting too wild with my tear. Okay, when I get to the outside edge of that oval, I'm just going to kind of even it out, if that makes sense. Let me grab this ruler. So putting my papers back together because I moved them. So I'm just going to put my zero centering ruler on there again so that I can kind of have something to tear against so I don't get too crazy. And then when I get out here to this outside shoulder, I want that to curve a little bit more as well. So I'm going to use the end of that oval and put that back down so that I can, let's see, I'm going to put the edge there and that edge there. So this edge up here and this edge out here on this side of the paper. And I'm just going to kind of tear around the edge like that. Okay, not going to throw these out. We might be able to use them for something else somewhere along the line. But we'll see if this worked. This was what was in my head, so we'll see if this see if it pans out, right? Okay, we've got our head and neck portions. I think I want to tear the bottom as well, just so that it also has kind of a rough edge. So I'm going to take my zero centering ruler back out. I'm not going to tear a whole lot off, but just enough to make an edge, which makes tearing tricky actually when you're not tearing very much. So I'm just tearing like about 3/8 of an inch off the bottom. And it's okay if the paper is a little bit white or not quite smooth, because I don't want it to be smooth. I want it to be a little rough and have all those little nuanced edges. Okay. All right. Now we're going to open this back up, and that's going to go on here like so. And we're going to go ahead and put that down with some adhesive. Eek. Clearly I need more wrist turning action. My adhesive keeps getting caught. Okay, so just gonna kind of center that on the page, like so. Gonna do the same on this side. Sometimes it's tricky to get things sort of lined up so that they are at the same spot. All right, there we go. All right, now I'm gonna grab my trimmer here because I want to take this large circle. I'm gonna cut this in half. If you don't already know it, if you take a circle and you balance it right here on the shoulder, the little raised shoulder, either at the top or at the bottom, just balance it right there, then you can cut it right in half and you don't have to squabble about worrying about measuring or anything. It's just always going to be a perfectly in half circle, which saves a lot of time and energy and heartache. So this is repositionable adhesive, just in case I don't get it where I want the first time. And I'm going to line up my paper, or line up my pages, and going to line these up together, and I'm going to just try to make it even up from the top of the wood paper to the bottom, so that the amount of wood paper on the top is the same as the amount of wood paper on the bottom. Alright, so there's the head hole. Here are the hand holes. And I'm just, again, just kind of eyeballing them. I'm going to actually make them so that the base where the hands go is even with the bottom of the head hole. I think that probably is the most reasonable assumption to make. I think that works. Like that. Okay, now we're gonna add, you know what? I didn't think about this, so hold on just a second. There is an element that I did not get put on here yet, so I apologize if you put those on already. Pop them off and just set them upside down. We're gonna use these to represent the slats that kind of hold everything together. And they're not going to be the whole thing, so we're going to have to kind of trim it a little bit. So I'm going to cut this, and all of my blue-handled scissors are missing. Does that ever happen in your house? Do your blue-handled scissors walk away? Mine do. All right, so just cutting that corner off from that first notch to the corner there. And going to add that about 5/8 of an inch from the edge of the paper in. And I'm going to use these scissors to go ahead and cut that off. Save this, you might use it on something else. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing with this one, with this side. And looks like I can go from this notch here to this notch up here with a reasonable curve. So we'll do that. Oh, I need to trim this just a little bit more, I think. So that's a little bit steep of a curve. That works works better. All right. Just cut this off down here on the bottom. It doesn't have to be super, you don't have to worry about it being super careful or super straight, just sort of cut it off. Then we can add these and just sort of center in between the two and make the bottom of the hand even with the bottom of where the head goes. So, not sure what's happening upstairs. Someone's hopefully making dinner. Maybe that's what all the pounding is that's going on. All right, so then we're going to take these cute little dealy bobs, and on this little decorative piece over here, there are these little holes. So I want to cover those up. In the photos, you can see that there are little pieces of wood that have been used, or probably iron that was used to anchor the wood pieces. And so I need an even number of these for each side. And I have kind of some different colored pieces that somehow I ended up with. Like this one, that's too dark. I want them to show up. I don't want them to blend in too much. So we're going to have 3 larger ones and 3 smallish ones. And I've got 3 hearts, so we can do a heart on each side and maybe one at the top or something. How's that? Let's do something like that. Okay. So these are our little buttons that are going to go up there, and I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 it looks like. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and the heart. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the heart. We'll take these away so that'll work. And actually I only have 4 on this side. How did I manage that? Because I trimmed that top part. That's how that happened. Well, that's okay. We'll make it work. All right. So I'm just going to add these in to kind of cover those holes. Not necessarily because of the holes, but just because in the photos you'll see that there are these little button-ish things that that they have used to anchor the 2 pieces together. If this were a true stock, there would be a divide in here, which we probably could have done. I probably could have separated it. I just didn't think about it in time. But that would have been a fun addition. That one seems ginormous and much bigger than the other one, so I'm not going to use that one because that's silly. It's silly to use a great big one. Grab one of these others. Okay, so like that, and then this heart we'll put up here at the top. It'll just be off to the side, unless I don't want to cut it in half, so we'll just sort of put him kind of off to the side like that. Okay, now let's look at these photos. So they are pretty funny, and I debated about whether I should cut them into circles or not, but they're not very easily cut into circles. So I just decided to kind of make the background be what I wanted and then trim these because they are obviously there's a lot of wasted space on these. So we'll see what comes of this. Let me grab my guillotine. Well, let's trim these up so that we can see the background better. All right, so let's see, we're going to have Emily and Oma. Well, let's put Christy over here too. Emily and Oma and Christy. And then Kelly, and Heidi and Haley. Something like that, I think. Maybe more like that. Symmetry always, asymmetry always gets me. I can't. Sorry. Alright, so this one's going to scooch over so it's a little bit more balanced. Like that. I like that better. Although there's a lot of green on this page and not so much green on this page. So maybe we swap these two. So there's a little more green balance. I like that better. Okay. All right, let's get these put down and then we will throw on some embellishments, maybe. Or maybe we'll call these on the sides our embellishments. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to put this at about 2.5 inches over. So that means Kelly's going to be about 2.5 inches over from this side. That will help me line up the rest of these so that they are closer to the same. Note, I did not say exactly the same. Closer to the same. Not the same at all. All right, hang on. Something's hinky. Since these are the closest to one another, I want to make those as lined up the same as possible. So I'm just going to adjust this one down a tiny bit to allow a better margin in there. A better border between. It's hard to tell on a torn border where to measure from because your edges tend to be raggedy, which they're supposed to be. So it's okay. It all works out in the wash. That's what my grandma always used to say. So a fun thing we could do with this is we could use these brown areas to journal or embellish. So let's see. What else can or should we add on here? I think whatever we add is going to need to be green. So let's see what we could add that would be cute. Let's see if I have any stickers. I can't remember if I have any stickers that are appropriate for this or not. Alright, so I'm going to use a couple of things to create these embellishments stickers. I'm going to use some stickers from Totally Tonal Avocado because I have them and they work well with this. I'm going to use a sticker from Ireland Scenes designer stickers, and I'm going to use a sticker from a pack that's called Sunflower Fields, and this one came out last year in 23, but works really good. So we're gonna use these 3 word stickers. One says making memories, one says these are the days, and one says the look of the Irish, because that's what this is. Funny. That's why I was trying to be funny. Hopefully it's funny. Okay, so then we're going to just use some of these flowers just to kind of brighten this up just a little bit. And so I'm just going to kind of pull off a cluster of flowers and add in a sticker. Now we could pop these up with foam squares, of course, but these albums are getting to be so thick that I'm trying hard to not put as many foam squares in them, just because I'm concerned that they're going to make my album just really, really thick. So it's not that I don't want to use them. I love using foam squares, but I have a lot of things that I'm trying to incorporate into these albums, and so I really feel like it's going to help to not use as many foam squares in them. Alright, so we're going to put this one down here. We're going to put this one over here. And maybe we'll kind of move it down so it's a little bit more towards the lower. This one's kind of more towards the upper, like so. And then I just need something to go towards the top that we can add this to that would make sense. Maybe we'll just use this one down here. And we'll add this kind of over to this side. Or what we could do is lift this guy up, because remember we put him down with repositionable adhesive. So we'll add him in to the cluster. I may need to add more adhesive to him. Okay, so let's put this on this side, and then we can put a title over here when I cut the title on my Cricut later. Okay, so I'm going to need to make a title for this page and add it in that upper left-hand corner. So I thought it might be fun to ask you what your thoughts are on what kind of title I should add on this layout. If you'll comment and let me know what you think and your best suggestion for titling this page, I would really appreciate that, and I really think it's going to be fun for everybody to read everybody's comments. So I hope that you will take a look at that for me. Just not doing that very nicely today, am I? I'll do like that. All right. Okay, there we go. I think that's about all we're going to do for this one. I hope this was fun. It's a little bit of a departure from what we normally do, given all the tearing and things, but I think it's fun, and I'm sorry for the glare as I look up at my monitor now and realize that you've been watching the glare this whole time. Sorry about that. But yeah, I think it's cute. Let me know what you think. It may not be something that you will use in your everyday scrapbooking, but it's just a fun idea to put in the back of your mind. Someday you might need something similar. So hopefully it's helpful, and hopefully it's fun. Thanks so much for joining me. Until next time, I hope you have many more creative moments. Oh, and soon, I'm trying to remember if this is the time, or if we have one more. Maybe we have one more. Yeah, we have one more layout from Ireland, and then we're going to take a break for a little while, do some Christmas layouts. So I hope you'll join me for my 12 days of Christmas throughout the month of December. That's going to be all kinds of fun. Again, thanks for joining me. Enjoy your day. Thanks so much.